Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to crack open the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's this book that everyone keeps talking about, and it's kind of like a guide to how power works, like a playbook for history and all that.
It is, yeah. Greene looked at like 3,000 years of history, right? From guys like Machiavelli to Sun Tzu, and he boiled it all down to 48 laws. We're going to go through each one by one, just like in the book.
Cool. So let's just jump right in. Law number 1 is never outshine the master. I can already see how that's like super relevant at work, but what's the historical side of it?
Well, Greene says that the worst thing you can do is make your boss feel insecure. He uses Louis XIV, the Sun King of France, as a great example. Louis XIV was super smart. He had all these talented people around him, but he always made sure they knew that he was the one who made them shine. It made him look even more powerful.
So it's not about like hiding your talent. It's more about using it in a way that makes your boss look good.
Exactly. All right, on to law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Greene says that depending too much on your friends can make you, like, lazy and vulnerable. And he talks about Michael III. He was this Byzantine emperor who totally favored his childhood friend, Basil.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, Basil ended up taking over. It just shows that sometimes the people closest to you can be the most dangerous.
Yikes, that's a tough lesson. Okay, law 3 is conceal your intentions. I guess that's useful in business, right, when you're negotiating or something. But did that happen in history too?
All the time. Think about Otto von Bismarck, the guy who unified Germany. He was a master at hiding his real goals. Like, he'd trick his opponents into doing stuff that actually helped him without them even realizing it.
Wow, so it's like playing chess, always thinking a few moves ahead.
Exactly. And law 4, always say less than necessary, kind of goes along with that. Greene says that talking too much makes you look ordinary. He uses Louis XIV again. He said that the king's silence at court actually made him seem even more powerful.
It's like creating that aura of mystery, right? People want to figure you out.
Yep. All right, law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. This one's all about your image. Greene says your reputation is everything. It determines how people see you. A good reputation is like gold, but a bad one can be impossible to fix.
It's true. Just look at all the scandals these days, people getting canceled left and right.
Yeah, your reputation can be super fragile. Okay, moving on to law 6, court attention at all cost. This one's about standing out, right? Like making a scene.
It seems kind of like the opposite of what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Being quiet and mysterious.
Well, it depends on the situation. Greene uses P.T. Barnum as an example. The circus guy. He knew how to get people's attention, how to create a spectacle.
Yeah, he was a master showman for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, law 7. That one's interesting. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Isn't that kind of,
A little sneaky. Maybe. But Greene's just being realistic. He says it's important to use other people's talents, but you can't let them outshine you. He even talks about Michelangelo, the artist. He had assistants, but he always made sure that he was a genius behind the work.
So delegate, but don't get overshadowed. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Law 8 is make other people come to you, use bait if necessary. Did Greene use any historical examples for this one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cleopatra. She knew how to make herself irresistible to powerful men, like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. She didn't go chasing after power. Power came to her.
Yeah, these laws are getting pretty strategic, huh?
They are. That's the point. All right, let's look at Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Greene believes actions speak louder than words, and he talks about Queen Elizabeth I. She was all about taking action, getting stuff done, instead of just talking about it.
So let's talk. More action. Makes sense.
Exactly. Now, Law 10, this one's kind of deep. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Greene thinks that negativity and bad luck can be, like, contagious. He says you got to stay away from people who bring you down.
Oh, I get it. Surround yourself with positive people, winners.
Yeah, choose your influences carefully.
Yeah.
Now, Law 11 is all about creating dependence. Learn to keep people dependent on you. The more people need you, the more powerful you become.
This sounds kind of manipulative, doesn't it?
Well, it can be, but it can also be about building something that people rely on. Greene talks about Henry Ford. He built this huge car company, and basically everyone needed him to succeed.
So it's about making yourself essential. Like, you're the only one who can provide something people need.
Right. Okay, Law 12 is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Now, this one is where things get a little interesting.
Oh, boy. What's he saying now?
Well, he's saying that a little bit of kindness can go a long way. Like, if you do something nice for someone, they might let their guard down.
Okay. I can see how that could be used for good or bad.
Exactly. It's all about how you use it. It's important to remember that these laws aren't about being evil, they're just about understanding how power works.
Right, right. Okay, Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. So basically, don't beg, offer something in return.
Yeah, make it a win-win. Greene says people are naturally selfish. He tells this story about Benjamin Franklin. Franklin wanted to win over this guy who hated him, so he asked to borrow a rare book from the guy.
Appealing to his ego. Smart.
Exactly, it worked. The guy felt flattered and they became friends.
Clever. Okay, Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. This one is giving me spy vibes.
It is a bit spy-like. Greene says it's important to gather information to know what's going on. He uses the example of Sun Tzu, the Chinese military strategist, who was all about using spies. He also talks about Mata Hari, the famous spy who used her charm to get secrets during World War I.
Wow, I had no idea. So basically, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Something like that.
Man, this is a lot to take in. Maybe we should pause here for a second and let everyone catch their breath.
Yeah, I think our listeners could use a break.
All right, so picking back up with Law 15, and this one sounds pretty hardcore. Crush your enemy. Totally.
This is where Greene's talking about taking decisive action when you've got, like, serious rivals. He uses the example of Cesare Borgia. He was this Italian duke during the Renaissance who wiped out his enemies, like, completely. No chance for a comeback.
So it's like sometimes you just got to cut ties and not leave any room for, like, future problems.
Exactly. And that kind of leads into Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. When you make yourself scarce, people start to want you around more. You know, create that sense of mystery.
Kind of like playing hard to get.
Yep. Greene even uses the Roman general Scipio Africanus. He knew when to retreat, how to use absence to his advantage. It helped him win battles.
Okay, on to Law 17. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. This sounds like something straight out of James Bond.
Well, it's about keeping people guessing, right? Being unpredictable makes you harder to manipulate. Greene uses Napoleon as an example. He was famous for his, like, crazy tactics, always keeping his enemies on their toes.
So be adaptable, keep them guessing. Makes sense.
Yeah. And Law 18, isolate yourself from your enemy, goes along with that. It's about strategic positioning, cutting off your enemies from their support system.
So isolate them and take away their resources.
Exactly. He uses Cortez, the conquistador who took down the Aztecs. He isolated the Aztec Emperor Montezuma, which really weakened their whole empire.
Man, these laws are getting pretty intense. Law 19 seems like a good one to remember, though. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Greene basically says, don't pick fights you can't win. He talks about Alcibiades. He was this Athenian general who made some powerful enemies, and it didn't end well for him.
So choose your battles carefully. I can get behind that.
Definitely. Law 20 builds on that idea. It's do not commit to anyone. Greene says that getting too close to one person or group can limit your options.
So, like, stay neutral, keep your options open.
Right. He uses Queen Elizabeth. Again, she was smart. She avoided getting tangled up in alliances, you know. It kept England independent and helped her navigate all those tricky political situations.
Okay, Law 21 seems a little counterintuitive. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark.
This one's all about deception. If you appear less intelligent than your opponent, they might underestimate you, which can give you an advantage.
So it's like play dumb to outsmart them. Did Greene have any historical examples for this one?
He actually talks about Fabius Maximus, the Roman general who fought against Hannibal. He pretended to be weaker than he was and just wore down Hannibal's forces over time.
Interesting. Law 22 seems to build on that idea, too. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power.
Exactly. Sometimes surrendering can be strategic. It can buy you time to regroup or even trick your opponent.
Any examples?
Greene talks about Genghis Khan. He'd often pretend to retreat just to lure his enemies into a trap.
Pretty sneaky. Okay, on to Law 23. Concentrate your forces. That one seems pretty straightforward.
It is, but it's easy to forget. You know, Greene says it's better to focus your energy on a few important things than to try and do everything at once.
Don't spread yourself too thin. I like it.
Yeah, he uses Alexander the Great as an example. He concentrated on conquering important cities and strategic locations instead of trying to control, like, every little piece of land.
Makes sense. All right, Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. Sounds like this one's all about being socially savvy.
It is. Greene talks about the importance of being charming, diplomatic, and knowing how to work a room.
So like being a master of the social game.
Exactly. He talks about Baldassare Castiglione, this Renaissance writer who basically wrote the book on social etiquette. It was super influential back then.
I bet those skills are just as important today, huh?
Definitely. And Law 25, recreate yourself, is all about being able to change and adapt.
So reinvent yourself when you need to.
Exactly. Greene uses Augustus, the first Roman emperor. He went from being this ruthless general to a wise and peaceful ruler. He knew how to adapt to the situation.
Okay, Law 26 is getting a little Machiavellian again. Keep your hands clean.
Yeah, this one's about maintaining a good image, even if you're doing things that aren't so clean behind the scenes.
So delegate the dirty work, basically.
Pretty much. He uses the Medici family as an example. They were super powerful in Florence, but they often used other people to carry out their schemes so that they could keep their hands clean, you know?
Wow, sneaky. Okay. These days, play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following.
It's true. People want to believe in something. Greene talks about Jesus, he created a huge movement by offering people hope and meaning.
So it's about tapping into people's deepest desires, giving them something to believe in.
Exactly. And Law 28, interaction with boldness, goes along with that. It's about being confident and decisive. Greene says hesitation makes you look weak.
So fake it till you make it.
In a way, yeah. He uses Julius Caesar as an example. He was known for being bold, and it helped him win battles and inspire his troops.
Man, we're making good progress here. How about we pause here for a second so our listeners can absorb all this?
It's a lot, right?
So much to think about. Okay, Law 29, plan all the way to the end. I feel like that's good advice in general, not just for, like, power plays.
Yeah, Greene says it's all about having a clear goal in mind and thinking ahead, anticipating problems before they happen. He uses the Trojan War as an example, Odysseus and the whole Trojan horse thing. That was a long-term plan for sure.
So be strategic and think ahead. Got it.
Yep. Now, Law 30 is interesting. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Isn't that like make it look easy?
Pretty much. Greene says that if you hide the effort behind your success, it makes you look even more impressive. Like, think about artists or writers. They make it look so easy, but it takes a ton of work.
Totally. Okay, Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. This one sounds like kind of manipulative.
Well, it's about subtly influencing choices. It's like you give people options, but you've already set things up so that any choice they make benefits you. Greene talks about Queen Elizabeth I. She was a master at this. She'd let her courtiers think they had a say in things, but really she was always in control.
So it's like giving the illusion of choice, but still getting what you want.
Exactly. Okay, Law 32, play to people's fantasies. This is a big one. Greene uses the French Revolution as an example. The revolutionaries knew how to tap into what people wanted, freedom, equality. Those are powerful ideas.
Yeah, I guess when people believe in something strongly enough, they'll do almost anything.
That's the point. And Law 33 kind of goes along with that. Discover each man's thumbscrew. It's all about figuring out people's weaknesses.
You can use it against them.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. Think about it. If you know what someone's afraid of or what they really want, you can use that to get what you want.
True. That's kind of scary though, right? Like, what if someone's using that on me?
It's definitely something to be aware of. All right, Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. I don't think Greene's literally saying to wear a crown, right? No, haha, it's more about attitude, projecting confidence and authority. He talks about Christopher Columbus. Even though he faced all these setbacks, he always acted like he was in charge, like he was destined for greatness, and it worked. He convinced Queen Isabella to finance his voyages.
So it's about believing in yourself and making other people believe in you too.
I like it.
Okay, Law 35, master the art of timing, is all about patience.
Right. Greene says it's not always about rushing into things. Sometimes you gotta wait for the right moment. He uses the example of Fabius Maximus again. He waited for the perfect time to strike against Hannibal.
Patience is a virtue. All right, Law 36, disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. I feel like that's a life lesson right there.
It is. It's about letting go of things you can't control. Don't waste energy on stuff that's not going to change. Focus on what you can do.
Words to live by. Okay, Law 37, create compelling spectacles.
This sounds kind of like theatrical.
It is. It's about using grand gestures and symbols to make an impression. He uses the Egyptian pharaohs as an example. They built these massive pyramids and held these elaborate ceremonies. It was all about projecting power and awe.
So make it a show.
Exactly. All right, on to Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. This one seems kind of contradictory.
Yeah, how can you think one way and act another?
Well, it's about being strategic. You might have your own opinions, but sometimes it's smarter to blend in. Greene uses the example of those Renaissance courtiers. They had to follow all the rules and etiquette of the court, even if they didn't agree with everything.
That's kind of like pick your battles.
Exactly. Now, Law 39, this one sounds a little chaotic. Stir up waters to catch fish.
What does that even mean?
It's about creating chaos and using it to your advantage. Greene uses Bismarck again. He actually started wars on purpose. It sounds crazy, but it helped him achieve his goal of unifying Germany. Wow, that's intense. Okay, Law 40. Despise the free lunch. This one seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's about being self-reliant, not relying on handouts. Greene says that true power comes from being able to take care of yourself.
So be careful what you wish for, because nothing in life is truly free.
Right, everything has a price. Okay, Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. This one is all about forging your own path. Greene uses Louis XIV as an example. He didn't try to be like his predecessors, he created his own legacy.
So don't try to be someone else. Be yourself.
Exactly. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. This one sounds kind of brutal.
Yeah, a little bit, but it makes sense, right? If you take out the leader, the whole group falls apart.
That's the idea. It's about targeting the source of power. Greene actually uses a military example for this one.
I figured. Okay. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. So we're back to persuasion.
Yeah, it's about winning people over, not forcing them to do what you want. Greene talks about the Roman Empire. They didn't just conquer people with their army, they also spread their culture and ideas.
So it's like soft power.
Exactly. Law 44 is interesting. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. This is kind of psychological, right?
It sounds like it.
What's the mirror effect?
Well, it's like using your opponent's own tactics against them. Greene talks about the Spartans. They were known for being super disciplined and stoic, so when their enemies got all riled up, they'd just stay calm, and it would totally throw them off.
She used their energy against them.
Yep. Okay, Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Greene says people don't like change, at least not too much change too quickly. It's better to go slow, make gradual changes.
So don't rock the boat too much.
Right. Okay, almost done. Law 46 is never appear too perfect. So basically, don't be a show-off. It's more about being relatable. Greene says nobody's perfect. Showing a little vulnerability can actually make you more likable and trustworthy. So be humble. Got it. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. It's like quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, know when to walk away. Don't let success go to your head.
Wise words. Okay, last one. Law 48. Assume formlessness. This one sounds kind of zen.
It's about being adaptable, like water. You got to be able to flow around obstacles, change with the times.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
I can do that. Wow, that was a lot. Robert Greene really packed a lot into this book, huh?
He really did. And even though some of these laws might seem, I don't know, a little ruthless or whatever, I think they're really just about understanding human nature and how power works.
Yeah, it's not about being a bad guy. It's about being aware.
Yeah.
And maybe using this knowledge to make better choices in our own lives.
Exactly. And maybe to spot when someone's trying to use these tactics on us.
True. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time.